Okay, so this is a redo of a video I did many years ago when I first started my channel on how to make a corn husk doll. It's fairly simple once you get the concept down. It takes a lot of cordage, so you'll need a lot of heavy string, or twine, I should say. Twine would be best. It's stronger. But yeah, I mean, there's many points along the way to where you can make this doll, and as a gift. Especially during the holiday seasons, November, December, things like that, as a gift giver. And then if you do the skirt right, she will stand up. But I'm trying to have the skirt dry a little bit. But you can stand up, or you can attach a lanyard, not to the neck piece, but around the waist, and she can be an ornament or a decoration in your kitchen or something like that. And then you could probably put wires in the arms, so the arms, thin wire you can get from a crafting store for the floral section, that you can start now to bend the arms, and she can make different poses and things like that. There's male and female versions of this. I've only made the female version. I think I should make a mission of making the male version, but you're using corn silk for the hair, and the rest of it is corn husk. You can use corn husk that you got from your own garden. You just have to dry it flat. Or you can go to the Latino section in any major grocery store, and they will have packets of corn husks that are already dried and flat for tamales. And yes, I do love tamales, especially homemade tamales are so good. Que rico, que delicioso. Las tamales. Anyways, los tamales. But anyways, I digress. You can get the husk, and they make a perfect project for this. So I'm gonna redo this, and the major thing is you got to have plenty of corn husk and plenty of cordage. Twine is preferable. Doing a redo of making a corn husk doll. Here, naturally, these are some natural corn husk that I got from an associate of mine, and they're a little thinner the way that I dried these out. And this is off of a corn cob he shared with me, which is kind of cool. Ate the corn was very nice. But yeah, one can go into one local grocery store and get hojas para tamales, and corn husks basically, and these are bigger and flatter. They're really good for this sort of thing. But if you want to do this at home, you're going to need probably twice as much as what I'm using this commercial product. But I'm going to try to integrate this natural product in this project. And then I'm going to use, again, wax nylon, just because it's really strong. I mean, you can use any natural fiber or whatever. But I'm using wax nylon just because I have it available, and it's got a lot of tensile strength for its size. So now I just got to reconstitute the commercially bought corn husk, and I don't need to soak it forever. And I use natural tap water, that's just hot tap water, and I'm going to go ahead and strain it. I'm using one hand to narrate and one hand to hold the camera, and then it doesn't need to be super wet. I just want to reconstitute it so it doesn't become brittle on us. So here I have some corn silk that I've harvested over a few years. It's dated 2020. But this is what we'll need for the hair. There's a silicone pack here to make sure it stays dry. But yeah, this is going to be part of it. Corn silk does have really good medicinal properties, I understand. So when you go buy corn, whether you growing it or whether you're trading it or whether you're getting it at the local grocery store, and you get the big husk of it to save your corn silk. It does have its uses. Okay, so if you're using commercial husks, they're pretty much uniform, easier to work with. But if you're using your homegrown husks, and again, I don't know the process of how they do this, and it might be a different species of corn and all that, but the problem with homegrown husks are irregularities. So they're not always going to be uniform or the same. Okay, that's why I'm using this for this demonstration, because one has to be able to figure out or work with the irregularities amongst other species of corn. And I'm pretty confident that this is just a different species of corn. So we do just want to reconstitute them a little bit. It's okay if they're a little moist, but they should be not completely wet, like saturated. Because what happens is they will shrink up once they become dry again. Okay? So we got that. Alrighty. So this should be fine for what we're doing. Alright, so I'm gonna go with 6 of these. So I'm gonna choose the ones I want. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. 5. And I want this long one here. 6. We may add more for later, but that's what we're starting out as. Cutting board. So it's a little easier to see what's going on. Alright. So this is where we'll need our corn silk. And it's dried. Okay, so this is where we will need our scissors, our cordage, corn silk, okay? And we're using 6 reconstituted corn husks, the commercial grade this time, right? So I'm just going to cut off the length of the cordage so it's not in the way. So put that over there. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to gather up some of the corn silk, and I've got some from different, I try to keep them all in the same direction. For this project, I want some longer ones. Yeah, this looks like a good bundle. Okay, this is like a good bundle. Put that back in there, set that aside. Now this looks a good bundle, and the corn silk tends to have like a brownish area. We want to hide that, okay? So we're going to try to meet up all the ends on the corn silk. When it's dried, it's easier to manipulate it than it is when it's fresh or wet, okay? And all we really want to do is start to wrap the skinny ends. Now, if you notice the shape, it's triangular, or isosceles triangular. So there's a narrow tip at the edge. So this is where we want to kind of start to wrap our corn silk and our corn husks, all 6 of them, around. And I want to make sure that they're all even here. I want them up here like that, and then that's top and bottom, right? I want the sides as well, and this is the sides like that. You see it's starting to look like a little cone, and it's being engulfed in the corn husk wrappers, like so. And then, okay, we got the last one I'm gonna put over here like that. It's not too difficult, especially when the corn husks are already kind of reconstituted or wet. Okay, So now I want to take my cordage here, and what we're going to do is we're going to just do a double overhand knot, and all that is, you know, we're going to go about, I don't know, an inch or inch and a half down on this particular, and I'm doing a double overhand knot, and I'm just going to cinch it, okay, real tight. Okay, and that's why I want some real strong cordage, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, and then I may want to take the longer end, because I do have a longer end of the string versus a shorter end. I want to take the longer end and probably wrap it, you know, down, and make sure we get a majority of what we are looking for as far as constricting off of the top. And I'm just doing an overhand knot again. Like that. Double overhand here. And then I'm just going to do a overhand knot to tie it off like that. So lots of ways we could do this. Lots of ways. Alright, so I'm going to snip the cordage, because we will need cordage after this, and we have a nice length of it that we can use. And then on the top here, we're kind of going to keep this nice and neat, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of snip that off like that. Alright, so we have this construction here, and then we have our corn silk in the center. And what we want to do is start to peel back our husks to open up the corn silk. Alright, and if we did everything correctly, you know, we can start to fold stuff down in the middle. Yeah, see, there's the middle here. We're going to try to cover that up. We're going to push that out a little bit. It's important to be gentle and take your time with this process here. Sometimes that happens, but we're about to, you just kind of have to shape and form it a little bit to get it in the wraps. But I think I see where this is going, and it will be the same thing here. So we want to take our cordage, and I'm going to do an overhand knot. I could do whipping. I could do a strangler knot. But this is quicker and simpler to do it this way. It's just quicker and simpler. And again, avoiding our corn silk like that. The double overhand tends to hold while you're making your knots in a simple fashion. Again, there's other knots you could use, right? So I just want to do this, and I'm going to do this one more time and tie it off. Do it over here. So kind of can kind of see where this is about to form out. So I want to take the back end of this and then overhand. Actually, that was a triple overhand. Like that. Sometimes you can use two pieces of wood if you really want to get something real tight. You know, kind of spikes and pull it. For this little craft, you don't have to do all that, but if you really want to get something tight with this wax nylon, that's where I would go with it. Maybe you tie a bow. When you see the end product, it'll be up to you how you choose to use it. And we're just gonna snip that off. Got some extra cordage if we need it. So essentially, what's gonna happen is, as you can see, this is gonna form our face or head. I can kind of see where I already want to go with this, right? So you're starting to see kind of where this might head, right? Okay, so that's the first part. Alright, so now we're going to do some braiding. And what we want to represent in the braiding is some arms. Okay, so you can take this corn husk here, and I want to take some thinner pieces, and I just want to do, I'm going to do a 3-strand plait, or basically basic braiding. No, that's too thin. So we'll kind of match them up about the same width and diameter, even though they do, you know, end up at a peak here. So I don't want anything too off the mark. See, this would be too wide, right? That would create an inconsistency. So I kind of want to go, and we want 6 of these. Kind of like this. Yeah, I think this is about right. And these, of course, can be dried out flat and used for later. Alright, so for this, I want always one, you know, 2 tapered 2 points on the outsides, and then one flat in the middle. Okay, do it that way. So you have an even plait, an even braid. Alrighty, so you'll need your cordage here, and I just want to just gather these together. Probably go down about a 1/2 inch or so, and I'm just going to do an overhand knot. Nothing real elaborate. And go on the other side, do a double overhand knot, and end it off with an overhand knot, just so everything stays in place. If you don't know what those knots are, I can probably provide them in a description below, but it's just a granny knot. Well, granny knots are different, but it's similar. And then you just do it twice for a double overhand knot. Fairly easy, fairly simple. Alright. And then just snip these close. And then I have extra cordage for later on. But essentially, all you're gonna do is you're just gonna braid. Now sometimes you can get a flimsy one, but we'll see what happens. And then these are kind of flimsy, so they'll be wrapping around each other. So what we're doing is just real basic tri-plait. Nothing elaborate. And then while it's still flexible, you can kind of shape it and stretch it. And you can make these as long as you want to. You can always add extra to your plate. And sometimes it's best to, you know, if you feel you need it, you might as well go for it and just add it in just in case. So I'm just gonna add this in here and we'll splice this in. And then maybe another one needs, oh, that one wants to slip out. Maybe I need to go up further. It's okay. Like that. Because you want to kind of want to catch it. So, and we could keep going. Actually, I'm going to wrap this around this one here, like that, right? So there is the pattern. Let that go around and lock that into place. You can always cut off the stragglers, you know, and if you ever need it longer. But this is, we're going to make this for arms, for the arms. Like that. So we have our extra cordage here. At the end, all we're going to do is again, just to cinch things in place, I'm just going to do an overhand knot. I'm going to flip it over. That's kind of what I've been doing. I don't know if I've been good about showing it on camera, but I'm going to do a double overhand to lock it off here on the other side. And then to finish it, I'm going to just do an overhand. So that'll cinch into place. We have some stragglers to cut off. And this will be part of an arm. And what I want to do here for aesthetics is just kind of cut along in there. And then what you can do is roll it. I'm just rolling it in between my hands to round the blade, the braid out. Okay. So this will be one. All right. So these are going to be our arms. These are our legs. I've already made the legs, and I've chosen to make them a little bit robust because on the human anatomy, the legs are generally thicker and longer and bigger than our upper arms. So this is what the legs look like. I've already made those. And I've made the other upper arm, and all we have to do again is lash this together. It's just a bunch of tying for this particular craft. It's not really that difficult. It's actually, once you get it down, it can be quite easy. So I'm just gonna actually make this real quick and make a loop out of this, so that what I can do is I can take this loop and then make another loop, and or tie it down, tie these together however you want to. This is just going to be a little bit more succinct for me. Okay, so I can kind of tie this kind of backwards. And for these, I just want to wrap. I just want them to kind of match each other. Doesn't have to be pretty necessarily. And again, the corn husk is still somewhat wet, pliable, versus its brittle state being completely dry. So I can kind of tug on this, I can kind of reef on this a little bit. And then we're just going to make a knot. Nothing big or fancy there. And I'm going to do another one just to hold it in place. And that's about it. So this is going to be the arms, I should say. So this is, you know, and again, however your aesthetic, I don't care, but essentially, you know, these are the arms and this is the legs. Alright, so we're going to give our Cornhusk doll some legs and arms. So right now we're going to focus on the arms. And I found out kind of the best facing for this particular individual, which looks about right like that. And I kind of want to find the center in a way. So it's okay to kind of break up your husks or your leaves, because we want to try to find kind of the best way to fit in our arms. And again, you can take a sprayer or a spritzer or something like that to keep the leaves or the husks malleable, so you're not fighting so much with it. But I want to try to find some way in here. I think I've found it. A little brusque there. Now, as you can see, this is how we gave our Cornhusk doll some hair. And we're going to take our arms and we're going to cinch our arms in between there. So there are our arms already, right? We can kind of adjust them a little bit. It depends on how thick or how big your arms are going to be, okay? Like so. That. Now we could finish with that, but let's say we want to make this doll, I don't know, a little bit more, how do you say, robust. So you can take an extra piece of corn husks, and again, this is going to be pretty wide because this makes wide. We don't want it to go too wide in there, so we're just going to roll it up and cut that out. Just kind of slide that up in there, because you can make a male or female version of the Cornhusk doll, and depending on how long you want the hair, whatever representation you want, and then we're just going to slide that up in there, okay? And that'll give us more of a defined upper body physique, a chest physique, right? Whether you're making male or female, right? This is, for me, it's going to be in female. So then what we do need is some cordage. I'm going to tie this in place. So, again, we're pushing everything towards the head. Stuff is tightened against there, like so. And then all we're going to do is this, like we've been doing, is just tying everything down with our very strong cordage. Okay, now you see, now you could even stop here if you wanted to. I mean, it's represented, but we're going to go a step further, mind you. So I'm going to flip this over. I'll do the same thing on the back, just so it doesn't go anywhere. Once I've got it tight enough, overhand knot in the back here. And then go back to flipping her over. And then I'm gonna really cinch this off. It'd be best if I had some chopsticks or some dowels, so I could really cinch this to accentuate the doll's figure. And then I guess I'll tie it off in the back. And that's pretty much it. I mean, at this phase, you have essentially made a figurine, right? You've essentially made a figurine, a Cornhusk doll figurine, that represents at least a female form, a female figure. Right? Which I think is pretty cool even at this stage. We cut this off and boom, there you go. But we're going to go one more step further because we've still got more stuff to do. Okay. Okay, again, like I said, right now you could stop here, right? You know, as an ornament, as a depiction. Again, please don't go negative and make it some sort of effigy. This is not what this video is for. Yeah, let's not do that. Too much negative energy going on around these days. So you could leave it as is, and it basically makes a functional doll. Especially once it dries, it'll be quite sturdy, and it's kind of, you know, makes a representation. Okay. Then you can start to kind of mold things into place while it's wet. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go a step further. Okay. It actually gets really cool from here on out, because we're going to go a step forward further. So we have the legs here. So we're going to do the same thing we did with the arms. I'm just actually going to make sure I have some cordage already cut. Because we're going to need some cordage cut. So again, this is cordage extensive. And again, with Cornhusk, you could braid your own Cornhusk or twist your own Cornhusk cordage to use. Or whichever cordage you choose to use, string, thread, twine, you know, something, you know, that you can actually torque on, that's strong. That's what you want. All right, so same thing with the upper arms here. We want to find a space to insert the legs, and most likely, atomically speaking, or rather anatomically speaking, let's try to find approximately where we insert it, and then we just kind of stick the legs up in there like that. Okay. It's gonna look weird for now, but trust me, it's gonna actually turn out really cool. I think this one might turn out pretty well. And again, you want to cinch that up there. Yay, doing the slits. And then we're going to take our cordage here. And we're going to do the same as we did for the chest. Now the chest, again, like I said, however robust you want to make the chest, that's on you. But this down here doesn't have to be all that. Yikes. Here, and again, if I had some sticks, I could kind of torque on this a bit, flip this around, do it on the back side, because I've made these for friends of mine, and they still have them up in their kitchens. You know, and it's interesting. These last for a while. And then up here, what I want to do is twist this off, turn this off, double or triple overhand knot into an overhead knot to tie it off. Okay. Now, this is going to seem kind of wasteful, I know. But at this stage, we don't need this bottom half here. So you can go ahead and clip this off. My scissors are a bit dull. That's not good. You can just kind of cut this bottom part off. Okay. Put that away. So now you still have, you know, kind of just human-ish features here with arms and legs, hair, a head, a torso, and an abdomen of some sort, right? And at this point is when you want to shape it while it dries. You know, you can start cutting off stragglers with a nice sharp pair of scissors. But now our doll is a little naked. So we got to put some clothes on. That's where kind of the fun part comes into play. All right. All right. So our doll is looking a little naked. I mean, I guess, you know, one could leave it at that for the most part. But let's make a cool little skirt for her, a little cool little dress. Now I have some green husk that I just kind of dried inside. It's been drying for a month or so, from an associate of mine that gave me some corn. And so I want to integrate this because of the color. The store-bought corn husks is quite yellow, and so there's some green in here. And so I want to try to integrate this so we have some color, and also use the dried corn husk that my associate gave me. All right. So some of this looks like it's got, you know, I don't know, some kind of mold or something like that. I could probably cut this off. Just so it doesn't exist on the doll. But this is actually kind of a good color. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our doll, put the doll upside down, and what we're going to do is we're going to start to, let me see here, so I want this, yeah. So we're going to start to drape her upside down. So for the skirt, we want the wide end towards the head, and so that's kind of what we want to do. And then since it wants to curl around, I want the wide end towards the head. We'll keep we don't have to really worry about the arms, and wide end towards the head. Keep wrapping around. Put a little bit of that off there. We don't need that. Yeah, so wide end towards the head, and then we have some of the original. So some of this I may have to finagle off camera, hopefully not, but we definitely want to kind of integrate. So the whole idea is to kind of cinch and tie everything. Again, we're using a cordage, tie everything around. So wide end towards the head, like that. So this should work for a skirt, I believe. And again, what I want to do now is take our cordage and then just tie this up. And, you know, basically around the waist that we made previously, right? Okay, so yeah, that should be about right. So again, this is where you want the wide parts towards the head. And again, I'm just going to keep tying. Stuck this down. Okay, that's not feeling very secure, but we'll keep going a little bit. Like I said, this project is very cordage extensive. Okay, now some of this doesn't really matter because what's going to happen is we're going to hide these parts. So we just gently, again, while while your husks are wet, or you know, they're malleable, you start to pull the dress down or her skirt down. That. And then we'll just have to spend some time kind of wrangling things into place. Yeah, so it's just kind of an on-pier waist sort of thing. Could have gone a little lower, but I just wanted to make sure that everything was cinched up. So, okay, so yeah, we chose this to be the front. And again, things will start to shape up as you start to work with this. And yes, you will lose a little bit of hair, but all of it you can either recycle or put back in your pile for another project, right? But for here, we want to cut these even. We don't want to cut the legs. And if we do it right, what happens is, once this forms, our doll will be able to sit up. She'll be able to sit up right, for the most part. So she'll stand, right? But we'll still shape some things and keep things in order. But that's giving her a nice little dress, or a skirt, if you will. That. And then the scissors that I'm using, unfortunately, are kind of dulling, so let me go ahead and make sure I'm not catching the legs in there, because it's okay if this would be slightly shorter than her legs, or excuse me, I misspoke, slightly longer than her legs. So there we have it for the most part. And again, you could stop here if you want. Okay? Certainly stop here. But we're going to go a step forward, even yet and still. So these are kind of fun to make, actually. I like kind of doing this sort of thing. So I want her to dry. And again, you can kind of, before you give them to gifts or whatever, you can kind of shape them and let them kind of air dry for a little while, but you can loosely tie some cordage around. But our little doll can stand now. She's got legs now, so she can stand. So we're going to keep going until we're done, and we're not quite done. So our little doll is taking on some shape here, right? It almost it's already has kind of life. You want to give it a name, but this is going to be a gift for someone, so I don't have ownership. So I'm turning her over. This is going to be her front. This is going to be her back, all right? And so what we need to do next, and again, I want to use some of the Cornhusk that my associate gave me for this, because it has some color in it. And so what we want to do is we're going to take a couple of the the pointer ends, and all we really want to do is kind of tie them together in the back. I'm not going to say what kind of knot, just tie them so they don't go anywhere. Okay, and just kind of stick these in the long parts while it's flexible. So they're just going to be in the back. Okay, so this is our doll's back, and that's going to go on the back over her shoulders. Okay, so again, so over her shoulders. And we want a nice little, I'm going to split this one because I feel like I need to. And so we have two pieces so that they can each kind of crisscross in front of each other, like that. Okay. Kind of dress stuff up, crisscross like so. And we'll clean some things up later. just like so, just like so. So now what we want to do next is I'm going to use, again, a good piece of the more colored husks. And let's see here. Do I want to tie them around like that? No. What I want to do is I'm going to take a colored piece of this husk, and all I'm going to do is give her a sash. So I just want to put this around the stomach. And then all we have to do is just tie it off like that. Yeah, so now she has a stash. We can give her some shoulders with the other husks. We'll do some snipping there and some shaping, but for the most part, this is where we're at. Again, I'm just gonna overhand knot that. Yep, it'll be just fine. Overhand knot that like that. Uh-oh, yeah, it won't be fine. Let's do one more. There. Okay. Okay, and there she is. All right. Some of these are kind of, there we go, and kind of cinch that down. We can shape these. I'm gonna snip that. And the back needs some snipping as well. You can tie those off if you want to. Okay. If you had some leather, you could do some Xena Warrior Princess type stuff, whatever. Your sky's the limit, your imagination. So for the most part, here's what we have when it's all said and done. And again, there were a couple of stages where we could call it quits. Okay, we could totally call it quits, and it would be perfect, little quick and dirty little present project for friends, you know, around the holiday season. Yeah. Again, I'm gonna say this, you know, I share this knowledge. I don't, you know, what you do with it is what you do with it. I'm not going to indulge in anyone's, you know, personal practices. There's some religious, you know, practices that like to make use of such things like this. Please don't. Not on my behalf. If you choose to do so, trust me, it'll come back to you triple fold. Although I don't wish that, I just know I just know how those things work. Okay. But anyways, as a cool gift, you know, you could probably paint a little face on. You could probably paint a little face on, and you know, maybe put a little broomstick or whatever. You know, there's a male version of this. I may do that as well. But this is kind of a, you know, just a redo of, you know, how to make a Cornhusk doll, female version. I may come back and circle back and do a male version, just for balance. But there you go. This seems to turn out okay. I want this to dry a little bit before I give to my associate. So I'm going to kind of wind some of this thread around just to kind of rein in the skirt. And again, I'm doing this loose.